The mountain wind carried the hum of engines long after the shuttle vanished into the clouds. Mara Vance stood at her cabin's porch, watching the morning mist fade from the trees. For the first time in years, Earth felt safe, but peace always made her uneasy. Soldiers like her were built for chaos, not quiet. She ran a thumb along the scar near her shoulder, the one that should have killed her. 8 plasma burns, 8 memories she could never erase. And now, outside her door, 8 Predator soldiers stood watch, the Blood Guard. Handpicked by Karathal, the cub she'd once saved. They never spoke much. They didn't have to. Their presence was a vow. If you bleed again, we bleed first. The Ominate started with static. Her comm unit, long dormant, crackled to life that evening. Epsilon command to Earth outpost. Anyone receiving? Mara frowned. The call sign was decades old. Nobody used Epsilon command anymore. She stepped inside and activated the terminal. The image that flickered into view froze her heart. Admiral Jonas Harrow, the man who'd led her original unit before the crash on Avara 9. But he was supposed to be dead. Mara, if you're alive, listen carefully. The Zha'kari didn't retreat after Avara. They've been waiting. Building. They found something. Something older than both our species. The signal distorted, showing flashes of alien ruins, colossal machines buried in ice, and glyphs that pulsed like a heartbeat. If they wake it, no alliance will survive. You have to warn the Predators. They'll understand. Then the feed cut out, a single phrase repeating over and over. The Devourer returns. The Council divided by dawn. Mara was aboard Karathal's flagship, the Wrathcore II, orbiting high above Earth. The High Predator Council gathered in their war chamber, towering figures clad in ceremonial armor. Holographic maps shimmered before them, showing the frozen planet Taraxis 5, deep in neutral space. Our scouts confirmed Zha'kari activity, Thanerock reported. Massive excavation operations. Energy readings beyond weapon scale. Karathal's gaze flicked to Mara. And you believe your admiral lives? If that message was real, he's trapped there, she said. And whatever they're digging up, he's trying to stop it. A ripple of unease passed through the council. The Devourer, murmured an elder. The first predator, the one even our ancestors hunted to extinction. Then it's not extinct, Mara said. And if the Zha'kari wake it, they'll unleash something neither of us can control. For a moment, silence. Then Karathal stood. Prepare my fleet. We hunt the hunters. The journey the Wrathcore II tore through slipspace, flanked by Predator dreadnoughts and human escort ships. A combined armada unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Mara stood beside Karathal on the command deck, watching stars warp into streaks of light. Do you ever regret it? He asked quietly. Saving me. Every day, she smirked, then softened. And not once. Karathal's mandibles twitched, his kind's version of a smile. You bled for me, Mara. I have spent years trying to be worthy of that. You already are. Their eyes met, not predator and prey, but soldier to soldier. Outside, the void shimmered red. They were close, the ruins of Taraxis. The planet was a graveyard. Frozen spires jutted from the ice like broken teeth, each carved with runes that pulsed faintly under the snow. Around them, Zha'kari war machines glowed with infernal energy, draining the ruins, feeding power into something vast below the surface. As the fleet descended, the first shots tore across the sky, plasma arcs and kinetic fire, cutting through the storm. Mara dropped with the first assault wave, landing amid shattered stone and roaring wind. The ground beneath her feet throbbed, alive. Whatever they're powering, it's waking up, she shouted over comms. Thanerock's voice crackled back. Then we must kill it before it hungers. The awakening, the ground split open. From the abyss rose something impossible, a creature the size of a mountain. Its body a fusion of flesh and machine, its many eyes glowing like dying stars. Chains of ancient metal hung from its limbs, cracking as it moved. By the stars, Mara breathed. The Devourer roared, a sound that shook continents. The shockwave hurled ships from the sky, shattered predator armor and flattened battalions, and from the wreckage, the Zha'kari screamed in triumph. It is awake! Bow to the true predator. But Mara didn't bow. She ran. She scaled a broken pylon, firing her hybrid rifle into the creature's exposed veins of energy. Karathal followed, leaping from stone to stone, hurling plasma spears that detonated in bright arcs. Its heart is beneath the central core, Mara shouted. We need to overload it. Then let us end this together, he roared. The final stand. The heart of the Devourer pulsed like a dying sun. Every beat sent waves of energy through the ruins. Mara's armor was scorched, her breathing ragged. She clutched a fusion charge, a human bomb designed for ships, not gods. If I plant this, there's no time to run. Carathel grabbed her arm. Then you will not plant it alone. She looked up at him, the cub she'd once saved, now standing as a king beside her. You can't. You taught me that courage is not dying for power. It is living for others. He pressed his hand to the bomb, their claws and fingers locking together. Now we live. They drove the charge into the heart. Light swallowed them both. The silence. When Mara woke, everything was white. Snow, light, and silence. Her body ached, but she was alive. She turned, searching. Carathel lay nearby, unconscious but breathing. Above them, the sky was clear for the first time in centuries. The Devourer was gone, its carcass turned to dust that glittered in the sunlight. Around them, Predator and human soldiers stood side by side, weapons lowered, staring in disbelief. It's over, she whispered. Thanerock approached, bloodied but grinning. You did it. The heart is destroyed. Mara looked at Carathel, still unmoving. We did it. The legacy months later in orbit above Earth. A new monument hung suspended between two fleets, human and Predator ships aligned in perfect formation. It was called the Beacon of Blood and Mercy. Forged from the ruins of Taraxis 5, glowing with the energy that once fueled the Devourer. Mara stood before it, hand resting on its cool surface. 8 bullets, she murmured, and 1,000 choices after. Behind her, Carathel approached, his armor replaced with ceremonial robes, his title now Lord Protector of the Accord. They will tell stories about you for ages, he said. Then they'll get bored, she smiled. Stories always fade. Not this one, he said. Not you. He extended his hand, clawed, powerful, gentle. Come, the council waits. It is time the galaxy met its heroes. The final doorstep years later, long after peace settled across the stars, Mara returned home one last time. The cabin was older now, weathered but standing strong, like her. The forest whispered in the wind, the same way it had the day Kiru came back. A soft hum filled the air. Another ship, smaller, familiar, touched down near the clearing. Carathel stepped out. No armor, no crown. Just the cub who'd once followed her through the rain. You came, she said. Always, he smiled. You said the pack sticks together. He handed her a small cube, a holographic memory crystal. Inside, she saw images of Earth and Avara, of humans and Predators rebuilding together. Our cubs play together now, he said proudly. No more hunters, no more prey. She looked up at the sky, at the stars that had once been filled with war. Then maybe, she whispered, we finally learned what being human really means. Carathel tilted his head. And what is that? She smiled softly. Knowing when to fight and when to forgive. He bowed, the ancient gesture of respect. Then the galaxy will remember you as the one who taught Predators peace. Mara looked out over the trees, feeling the warmth of the rising sun. Not peace, she said. Family. And with that, the legend ended. Not with war, not with death, but with understanding. A soldier and a Predator, bound not by blood, but by choice. The pack had survived. Forever. The jungle moon of Avara 9 was never quiet, even when the sun dropped below its crimson horizon and the canopy shimmered with bioluminescent spores. The world still hummed, the sound of predators stalking, machines breathing, and the low, rhythmic pulse of something older than both. Sergeant Mara Vance had learned to sleep through it. Or at least pretend to. She'd been stranded here for 3 weeks, ever since the human outpost at Epsilon Ridge went dark. Her unit was supposed to recover what was left of the comm relay, but when the dropship went down in a plasma storm, only she crawled out of the wreckage alive, and she hadn't been alone for long. The cub, the first time Mara saw the creature, she almost shot it. Small, fur-covered, amber-eyed. A predator cub, if the old Terran xenologists were right. Its kind were apex hunters in this sector, part of a species the Council had labeled extinction-level hostile. But this one was trembling in a snare trap. She remembered lowering her rifle, muttering, "You're just a baby," and cutting it free. It hadn't run. Instead, it followed her through the rain, clumsy but determined, like it understood that she'd saved its life. Mara called it Kiru, after her brother's childhood toy dog. Same big eyes, same stubbornness. In the days that followed, Kiru hunted small game for her. When she bled, it brought moss to pack the wound. When the storms hit, it pressed against her side to keep her warm. Mara never said it aloud, but she'd stopped thinking of it as a predator cub. It was just Kiru, the only thing standing between her and complete madness. The attack had happened on the 14th night. The sky turned orange with engine fire, dropships, not human. When Mara saw the insignia burned into the hulls, her blood froze. The Zha'kari Dominion, the very species humanity had fought for decades. They'd raised colonies, ambushed refugee fleets, and left burning worlds in their wake. They were looking for something, and when they found Kiru crouched near the firelight, they started laughing. "A predator runt," one hissed. "Let's take it back. Might fetch a trophy price." Mara stepped between them and the cub before she even realized she'd moved. The Zha'kari soldiers stared at her, confused, a lone, filthy human, rifle trembling in her hands. "Back off," she said. They didn't. The first plasma round tore through her shoulder. Then another caught her side. By the time the 8th hit, she was already falling. Vision blurring, the jungle spinning away. Her last thought, before everything went dark, was Kiru's panicked screech and the sound of his small feet pounding away into the forest, the awakening pain, cold breath that shouldn't exist. Mara gasped and shot upright. She was in a bed, metal walls around her, humming power conduits. The smell of sterilized air. A voice spoke from the shadows, deep, rough, alien. "You live. Good. Her." Instincts kicked in. She grabbed for a weapon that wasn't there. From the corner stepped a massive figure, 7 feet tall, armor scarred and ornate. Eyes like molten gold. She'd seen that species before. On death reports. On battlefields. The predator kind. The same race Kiru came from. But this one wasn't here to kill her. He was bowing. "You saved the heir," he said, his voice almost reverent. 8 wounds you took for him. "No human has ever done such a thing." "Heir?" she croaked. "Kiru?" The warrior nodded once. "His true name is Karathal, son of the High Predator Lord, our future pack leader." Mara's mind spun. She'd saved a cub. A royal cub. The debt within hours. She was surrounded. Massive warriors in black armor, faces masked by bone helms, each marking the rank of an elite predator guard. Their commander introduced himself as Thane Rock, First Fang of the Blood Guard. "You are within the fortress ship, Wrathcore," he said. "Our medics repaired your body. You will live." Mara looked down at the scars tracing her torso. Faint silver lines where the plasma had burned through her. They shouldn't even have been possible to heal. Why? She whispered. Thane Rock's mandibles twitched in something that might have been a smile. "Because you earned a debt none of us can repay. You bled for one of ours. That is sacred," she blinked. "I didn't do it for honor or politics." "I just couldn't let them." "We know," he interrupted softly. "That is what makes it pure." The arrival when the ship landed on Avara 9 again. Mara stood at the observation deck, armored now in gear forged by alien hands. Her human rifle had been reforged into a hybrid weapon, a fusion of human practicality and predator craftsmanship. Beside her stood Kiru, or Karathal, as the warriors called him now. Taller, his eyes sharper, but still the same warmth when he looked at her. "They're coming," he said quietly. "The ones who hurt you." Outside, the horizon burned. The Zha'kari had returned, this time in full force, but they didn't expect what waited for them. The Wrathcore opened its bays, and 1,000 predator soldiers descended, silent, disciplined, unstoppable. At their head, Thane Rock turned to her. "You saved our heir. Now we save your world." The Battle of Epsilon Ridge, the Zha'kari never stood a chance. Mara moved with the predators as though she'd been born among them. Her rifle spat plasma arcs that sliced through enemy armor. Her voice commanded units in both human and predator code. The sky became a burning tapestry of vengeance and loyalty. Two species who should have been enemies, now fighting side by side because one human refused to stand aside. And through it all, Karathal never left her flank. At one point, when a Zha'kari warlord cornered her, blade raised, Karathal roared, slamming the creature aside with bone-shattering force. "You are Pack," he growled, "and no one harms Pack." The revelation. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was silent except for the wind. Mara dropped to her knees, exhaustion finally catching up. Around her, predator warriors saluted, raising their blades in an ancient gesture of honor. Thane Rock approached, kneeling before her. "The Blood Guard is yours to command should you wish it," he said. "The High Lord decrees it." "Me?" She laughed weakly. "I'm just a sergeant." "No," he replied. "You are the protector of the heir. In our language, Vakirathul, the one who bled for the cub." And from that day, her name was etched into their lore, the first human ever honored in Predator history. The return months passed. Humanity made contact again. Cautious diplomats and wide-eyed soldiers arriving to find predators guarding human outposts instead of raiding them. They called it the Avara Accord, a peace forged not by treaties, but by sacrifice. When Mara finally stood beneath the human flag again, her old commander stared at her in disbelief. "You allied with them?" "No," she said, glancing at the horizon where the predator ships shimmered in the dawn. "We became family." The doorstep years later, on a quiet Earth morning, Mara lived in a small cabin at the edge of a forest. The war was over. The stars were at peace. She was sipping coffee when the ground began to tremble. Through the mist, a massive shadow descended, a predator shuttle painted with royal insignia. As it landed, armored figures emerged, their movements crisp and ceremonial. At their center walked Karathal, grown, regal, his armor gleaming like obsidian. He stopped at her door and bowed deeply. "You once stood between me and death," he said, his voice carrying through the still air. "Now I stand between you and any who would harm you. My blood guard is yours." Mara blinked back tears. "Kiru, always Kiru to you," he said softly. Behind him, the elite predator soldiers dropped to one knee, saluting the human who'd changed the destiny of two worlds. And for the first time since Avara 9, Mara smiled without pain. "Guess the pack sticks together," she murmured. "Always," Karathal replied. Epilogue. The historians of both species would later call it the turning of the hunt, the moment when the fiercest predators in the galaxy bowed to the compassion of a single human soldier. But for Mara Vance, it was never about history or legend. It was about a frightened cub she refused to abandon, and the universe that refused to forget it.